the Carolina side of things, look, progress. It's a win. It's 3-2 going into a bye. I thought a realistic goal was 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And 4-1 with maybe a tough loss at Missouri. I didn't see the Vanderbilt game coming. I thought it'd be a fourth quarter game, but I thought Carolina would win it. And that's the one that's just like, you'd love to have that one back. But 3-2 going into the bye, not the worst thing in the world. As you mentioned, this is the key. Now we're going to really find out what this team is.
Mm-hmm.
Really going to find out what this team is over the next 5 games. The answers to a lot of questions are going to come out there, and I can't wait to see it. I don't think this team has played its best football. Statistically, they're nearly last in every offensive category. It's either Carolina or Florida that's last in essentially everything. So I think this offense has more talent. I think we all believe that, and hasn't played up to its potential. We talked about the 17, 17, 17, 17, then 7 points offensively. Well, now we're at what? 20 and 21?
21.
Okay. All right. Do I hear 25?
Yeah, I know, right? That's why I thought the same thing.
28, 28, 28, 28, 29, 30, 30, 30, 30. Let's auction off some more points here for the coming games here, Jamie, beginning with LSU.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Here's what we knew going into that ball game this weekend. I had a list of things. Obviously, we had our preview show, and you heard a lot of this in great detail on Friday. For those of you that missed the preview show on Friday, good luck finding another one that's better than that. Don't miss it moving forward. It's a demand, not a request.
Here.
Kentucky, we thought coming into the game, wasn't very good. Okay. Now they've done some good things this year. There are some things that they're strong at, like every team is. But we thought coming into the game, they're probably not very good. They were starting a redshirt freshman at quarterback. Redshirt freshman getting their first start on the road in the SEC under the lights at a place like Williams-Brice is going to be different. We all know that. All right. The previous 4 games, we went over these numbers again in detail, run game numbers, pass game numbers, etc. And I went back 4 games, and the reason that I went back 4 games is because it's largely been unchanged in the last few years. I mean, I know South Carolina has had different offensive coordinators, but it's still been a Mark Stoops defense at Kentucky. So South Carolina's offense against the Wildcats has not been very good at all, and they had won 3 in a row coming into the ball game. 268.5 yards per game against the Wildcats in the previous 4 years, okay? The run game this season has been awful. Carolina's been committing too many penalties. They haven't been converting on third downs. They've been poor on third down defense. Sellers probably needed to get out of the pocket a little bit more, as we've talked about a ton. They wasn't using his legs enough. Carolina wasn't possessing the football. Last week, their tackling was pretty terrible. I know people give credit to the running backs. It's fine. They can deserve credit, but Carolina can deserve criticism at the same time. Coming out of the ball game, I still don't think Kentucky is very good. They still have a redshirt freshman at quarterback. Carolina had 341 yards of total offense in this game, which is the second highest total versus Mark Stoops in the last 5 years for the game for South Carolina football. Okay. But what went into that is what mattered to me. Were they moving in the right direction or not? The run game clearly rejuvenated by Lenora Sellers running and his escapability. He looked more like him on Saturday than he's looked all year long. And because some of that is instinct. That's just the type of player that he is. It's just instinct. Like, I'm not looking downfield here. I'm gonna figure out how to get out of here myself and go get a first down. And he did that multiple times on Saturday. Also, some of the inside zones and some of that stuff, you could tell some of that has been simplified. They clearly made some adjustments here. Shane might not come out and say that tomorrow. Maybe he'll kind of whiff around as he doesn't want to give anybody any tips on what they did. It's crystal clear that there was something that changed. Maybe they took an option away or something like that. They converted 54% of their third downs, Mike. Kentucky was only allowing 32%, and Ole Miss was putrid on third down against the Wildcats just a couple of weeks ago. They held Kentucky to 5 of 13 on third down conversions. Again, that's pretty good. Why is that good? Kentucky came out of the gates running the football right down Carolina's throat, and then on the second drive they had that busted play on the outside. After that, they had 80 yards of total offense the rest of the way in. Kentucky couldn't run the football, and that's their bread and butter. They only committed 5 penalties in the game. Sellers had 14 total carries. Carolina won the time of possession, and the reason they did it, Mr. Morgan, is because they had a 9.5-minute drive to close the game out. They ran the football down their throats, and they could have scored, and they chose not to. It was like a mercy drive. And they didn't miss many tackles. So what am I getting at here? Is a lot of that because Kentucky isn't very good? Maybe. Yeah, I would say that some of it is. But some of it also, in my opinion, watching the game and then rewatching the game, is that they are making maybe some small steps in the right direction. And we've seen this under Shane Beamer time and time again. Mike, you talked about it last week. We talked about it all the time. His teams will take some baby steps and continue to get better. And then by the end of the year, they're playing pretty good football, and you don't want to run into them, right? It's happened every year at South Carolina. Does this mean they're going to run out into this 4 or 5 game stretch they got coming up and win 3 or 4 of them? I have no idea if that's what that means. Does it mean that they're going to lose all 5? I don't know. We don't know. But I'll tell you what I won't do. I won't cut a microphone on after a win in the SEC after what we saw the last 2 weeks, all the mistakes, and see that they corrected some mistakes this weekend, even though it was a team that you expected them to beat. Although, by the way, the line was 5.5. They beat them by 22 points. I won't cut the microphone on and not give them credit. And I quite frankly think that anybody that's willing to do that today is full of shit. Like, they did some things Saturday that they haven't been doing. So regardless of how good Kentucky is or isn't, Carolina themselves, looking at their football team, did things better on Saturday night than they've been doing them. And now they've got an extra week to continue to build on that before they hit the road to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Is there a groundswell of negativism that I'm unaware of?
No, I think it's a lukewarm. I want to give them credit, but I'm not willing to because it was just Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Type deal, and I don't see it that way. Like I you know what I mean? Like this series has been a close series. Kentucky has had Carolina's number I know the Gamecocks have won 4 in a row. They kind of righted the ship there. But the Wildcats know how to play against this team. I told you all last week what the key was. The key was turnovers. And Carolina, once again, was a major plus in that department. 4-0, which means in 5 years, they're plus 11 in the turnover margin against Kentucky. Go look at the record, and then you tell me what it is. So
plus 5 for the season, by the way.
Right.
Which is one of the top marks in the SEC.
Yep.
Yeah, look, you know my philosophy on this. I typically don't find things to complain about after a victory, particularly one in the SEC. So I you can always find something. So that said, like no one's going to hold a parade beating Kentucky.
No.
It's you got 2 weeks to, again, you're sitting on 3-2. Ideally, you'd be 4-1. But you're not. You're 3-2. So you try to steal one in that 5-game gauntlet that you and I have been talking about since, I don't know, April. This 5-game stretch was going to define Carolina's season one way or the other. And it can go one way or the other. Really other than if you thought this team was going to go to the playoff, that's pretty much off the table. Other than that, every other goal is still within reach.
Mm-hmm.
Every other goal is still within reach, and I think we can all agree this team has not played its best football. You saw some semblances of last year's defense on Saturday.
Yeah,
I felt like I was in a time machine. Like this guy's got some 2024 vibes going to it.
Yeah, especially up front.
Yeah, they just overwhelmed Kentucky.
Yeah,
it's the second year in a row like you've pretty much taken away the spirit of a quarterback. Now, I don't think this kid's going to quit like Vandegrift did. but he was seeing ghosts, right? I mean, he was like, and they don't have a lot. They just don't have a lot of weapons, quite frankly. They don't have enough where they're going to win many games. The race for 0-8 in the SEC between Arkansas and Kentucky is going to be an interest. I don't even know. Do they play one another? I don't think
No, I
they
don't think
do.
so. No.
So you
Pretty sure
technically
they
could
don't.
have 2 0-8 teams. I don't think that's ever happened in the SEC, but it's more than possible because I think there is a clear line in the sand between the other 14 teams in this league, and I would say Arkansas is more talented than Kentucky, and maybe
Yes.
Petrino rejuvenates them.
Yeah. Well, especially on offense, like they can
Oh
spark
yeah,
and
yeah.
beat,
I mean, Green is still he's still a player, right? And
Yeah.
they still have some guys that can make plays on offense. They have nothing on defense and look completely clueless. But yeah, Arkansas could certainly win a game. I don't know if Kentucky will. But yeah, I think it was important too where this game was on the schedule. I would not have wanted to go into the bye after the Vandy game or the Missouri game. I get it. Some people
No.
say, well,
Yeah.
that'll get you as a coach. Everybody will be focused. You got their attention. Nah,
No.
yeah, I don't think you need all that now.
No.
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 I think what you needed was a reminder that there's talent on this team and you can do some things well. And now you got 2 weeks to really, always got a chance to heal up. That's a big deal.
Yeah. They're
And you
pretty
got a
healthy.
chance to fix some things and get some things more operating more fluidly. And that starts with that offense, which has not been good for a number of different reasons. And it's going to need to be better. If you're going to beat teams on the schedule. Now, here's one thing. Can I look at permission to look ahead to a game that's 2 weeks from now?
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. I think I know where you're going here too.
This just in, Garrett Nussmeier is off.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's discussion that he is hurt. His throwing motion looks nothing like it did in 2024. He is missing guys. It's not, sometimes it's just he didn't make the right read, and therefore the turnover happened or the missed. That happens. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he makes the right read. He's not getting the ball there. Yeah. That is not a first-round draft pick. He's not looking like a guy that was first-round automatic, potentially 1-1, Heisman Trophy candidate, et cetera, et cetera. He doesn't look right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's up for the people in Baton Rouge to figure out what that is. But I'm saying from a Carolina standpoint, I think this game has a different complexion. I think this game has a different complexion. I don't think LSU is going to score easily on Carolina's defense on Saturday. And, yeah, they're not running the ball. Now, Dunham didn't play. He was banged up. I don't know what his status will be 2 weeks from now. But that's the big criticism of Brian Kelly as well. They just don't run the ball.
Right.
Which is really weird because when he was at Notre Dame, you know what the criticism was?
Yeah.
Too conservative.
Yeah.
They don't throw the ball enough.
Didn't throw it well enough.
Right? So I don't know which Brian Kelly is which. They lost a couple of stud offensive linemen. They might not be as good up front as they were a year ago. Probably not. But LSU's, and they don't have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. They don't have those caliber of wide receivers. But they went in the portal and they got some dudes. It's not like they don't have talent in their skill players. But I don't think LSU's offense has looked very good at all compared to what it was supposed to be. And if you combine that with Carolina's defense being what it is, and maybe this offensive game is a start to see an upward climb, and you start to see it hum a little bit, maybe all of a sudden that makes it a winnable game when a lot of people a couple weeks ago would have said, no chance.
Well, that's exactly. I 100% agree with that. Look, I mean, if you're asking me which offense right now is trending more in the right direction, it's South Carolina's. Period. The end. I mean, I'm not. I don't even know that there's much of a debate to that. And I would add this too. Like, I think this year overall, pass pro has actually been pretty good for South Carolina. It's been up front in the run game is where they have really struggled, and that's been a glaring weakness, as we all well know. when they got in the red zone on Saturday night, that was the best that they've been this year. I mean, period, the end. Like, it's look, you could say that they weren't, once again, great up front running the football and providing some holes and things like that on Saturday night, and you'd be right. But you'd be dead wrong to not give them credit on what they did in the red zone. They pounded the football into the end zone is what they did, Mike. And you know, this team hasn't, like, while the offense has had all the issues it's had this year, they've been in the red zone. The problem was converting, like the Sellers pick against Vanderbilt, and you know that play that happened at Missouri from the 2-yard line on the play action and stuff like that. You know, you score a couple of times there, and you're probably right. You know, you're probably looking at a 4-1 team going into the break here, and yeah, it's a lot different. Now that might lead you more to a night kick. We'll see what they give us at 1 o'clock today. I'm praying that it's an afternoon kick down there in Baton Rouge because you don't want all the drunks out. But yeah, I mean, they have been there. They just haven't been able to get it figured out, and they did do that on Saturday. Like, they deserve credit for that. So. Yeah, I agree. There's a play that we're going to talk to Pat about today too on defense that, and I saw it when I saw the personnel before the play even happened, and I kind of tapped my cousin. I said, "Look at this." And so they've done a couple of things, made a couple adjustments up front as well. You pointed to this earlier about some things that reminded you of last year, and I think they're making more of an effort to continue to get their best athletes up front and in very good matchups and allow them to make plays. And they certainly did that the other night. Obviously, Dylan Stewart had a big time game, and he'll probably get some awards today and stuff like that. But Desmond Umeozulu, Brian Thomas played well. Jatius Gear played well. 93, Nick Barrett, we had him circled last week. He played really well. All those guys played well. So I'm with you. You know, it's a defense that generally finds a way to create turnovers, and LSU has been prone to doing that this year. So, you know, those who kind of wrote this game off, I would say, while both teams have a bye week to get prepared for it, there's going to be plenty of time to kind of go back and look at this thing and stew on it and say, I don't know, man, there might be some things here that if South Carolina does this, that, and the other, they could get out of there for the first time in 31 years with a victory.